2.6. Solving nonlinear inequalities. On this problem here, first, since this expression is less than 0, at the end I'll be looking for negative solutions. Less than 0 means negative solutions. Then there's no equal here, so all the points that we'll get out of this will be open. So let's begin. I'm going to replace this temporarily with an equal sign so I can solve it to find my points. And I can factor out a 3x as the greatest common factor here, leaving behind a 3 minus 2x equals 0. And here I'll take 3x to equal 0. Here I'll take 3 minus 2x to equal 0. This solves quickly to x is 0 when I divide both sides by 3. This side here, when I add 2x to both sides, we'll have 3 equals 2x, and divide both sides by 2, we'll have 3 halves equals x. So we have two solutions for x. I'm going to put both of those solutions on the number line in order. So we have a 0 and a 3 over 2. Now we'll go back to the original. The open means that both of these will have open spaces on the number line. And we're looking for negative portions on the number line. So I'm going to use test points to check each one of these areas out. This area, we'll use a test point of negative 10. Between these two, we're going to use a test point of 1. And after 3 halves, we'll use a test point of 10. Okay, so let's put negative 10 here. 3 times negative 10 is negative 30, so that's negative. And negative 2 times negative 10 is positive 20. With a 3, it's still positive. So we have a negative and positive answer, which gives us negative results here. Okay, so this matches so far what we need. Now let's put the 1 inside here and test that. 3 times 1 is a positive answer. And negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. A positive 3 with a negative 2 is positive. So it's positive times a positive answer. It means everything in here is positive. And that does not match the negatives that we need. Now 10, 3 times 10 is positive. And negative 2 times 10 is negative 20 with a positive 3 is negative. So a positive times a negative answer gives us negative. So this matches. So these two areas are where our solutions are found. And we can represent them as negative infinity to 0 parentheses union with this part right here, which is parentheses 3 over 2 comma positive infinity. Okay, number 5. Number 5, we are looking for greater than 0. Greater than 0 means positive. And there's no equal sign, so all our points will be open. Now, I'm going to start by solving this. 24 minus x squared equals 0. Now you'll notice that this is not the difference of two squares, but I'm going to force the process of difference of two squares on this, even though 24 is not a perfect square. So the process says that we use a square root on both terms, and we factor. So the square root of 24 minus x, and the square root of 24 plus x. Okay, I took the square root of both of these, so that's the difference of two squares. Therefore, now I can actually solve these individually. I have the square root of 24 minus x equals 0, and the square root of 24 plus x equals 0. Here I'll add x to both sides, and I have x equals the square root of 24. Over here I'm going to subtract the square root of 24 from both sides. And for my second answer, we get x equals the negative square root of 24. Now, 24 does have a perfect square in it. 24 can be factored into a 4 times 6. So the 4 is a perfect square. So we can bring that out as 2 rad 6 and negative 2 rad 6. All right, let's put those on the number line. The negative 2 rad 6 here and the positive 2 rad 6 there. and we're going to look above. Okay, so here they're open. So open here and open there. And we're looking for positive parts. So I need to choose test points in this area, this area, this area. So I'm going to choose negative 10, 0, and positive 10. Okay, so let's try here. Negative 10. If you put a negative with a negative 10, you get a positive, and 24, square root of 24 is positive. So a positive and a positive number is positive. A negative 10 with a square root of 24. Square root of 24 is close to the square root of 25, which is 5. So I know this is about 5. So positive 5 plus a negative 10 is going to give me a negative answer. So all of this here is negative. Now 0. Square root of 24, which is about 5, minus 0 is 5. Here, 5 plus 0 is 5. So those are both positive. And finally, this is 5, approximately 5, take away 10 when we use 10 here. That's going to be negative. Here we're going to have approximately 5 plus 10, which is positive. So a positive and negative answer together make a negative. Since we're looking for the positive pieces, this portion inside will be our solution. So we'll write that as parentheses negative 2 square root of 6 comma 2 square root of 6 and everything in between there. Okay, number 3. Number 3, we have a numerator and denominator, and this is all greater than 0, so we're looking for positive parts. The numerator will be open. The denominator is always open, but the numerator is open because there is no equal sign. But denominators, answers that come from the denominator will always be open. So let's take everything apart. We have 8 minus 4x equals 0. And we'll have x squared minus 49 equals 0. And we'll solve this by adding 4x to both sides. And I get 8 equals 4x. Divide everything by 4. And we have 2 for the answer of x. Here, we can factor this into, we can treat this as the difference of two squares and factor this into conjugates by taking the square root of all terms. So we'll get x plus 7 and x minus 7. X plus 7 set equal to 0. X minus 7 set equal to 0. And when we solve, we'll get negative 7 and we'll get positive 7. So we have 3 answers, a 2, a negative 7, and a positive 7. Okay, let's put all that along a number line in order. So we have a negative 7, then comes the 2, and then comes the 7. The negative 7 came from the denominator, which is always open. The 2 came from the numerator, which here says it should be open. The 7 here came from the denominator, which is always open. Now my test points will be negative 10, 0, 5, and 10. Okay, let's start off with negative 10. Negative 10 times negative 4 is positive 40 and at positive 8. That's positive. A negative 10 squared is 100 with a negative 49 is still positive. So positive divided by positive is positive. 0. Negative 4 times 0 is 0 with a positive 8 is positive. 0 squared with a negative 49 is negative. So here we have a positive divided by negative, which is negative. 5. A negative 4 times a 5 is negative 20, and 8 together make negative. A 5 squared is 25 with a negative 49 is negative and a negative, that's positive. Okay. Alright, looks good. And finally we have a 10. Negative 4 times 10 is negative 40 with a positive 8, which will still be negative. A negative 10 squared is 100 with a negative 49 will end up being positive. So a negative divided by positive is going to be a negative. Okay, so our solutions will be everywhere that we have a positive, which will be here, which is negative infinity to negative 7 with a parenthesis, union this part right here, which is parentheses 2 to 7 with an open parenthesis. And that's our solution. Now for number 4. Number 4, this has not been set equal to 0, so we're going to pull the 2 to the other side so that it is set equal to 0. So we have 3x minus 6 all over x minus 2 greater than or equal to 0. And now that we have the greater than or equal to 0, we know that we're now looking for positive parts. And here, this will be a solid because there's an equal. Now, furthermore, we'll have to add these two. In order to add these two, they have to have the same denominator. Right now, our denominator is 1 for the 2, so I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by x. So we'll get 3x minus 6 over x minus 2x all over x. And temporarily we can make this 0, sorry, equals, should I say. And now the 3x and the negative 2x can get together and become x minus 6 all over x equals 0. And now we can split this up into two pieces. This will be x minus 6 set equal to 0 and x set equal to 0. This solves very quickly to x is 6. And those are our 2 points. We have 0 and a 6. Okay, so 0 here came from the denominator, so that's always going to be open. The 6 here came from solving the numerator, so that's going to follow this right here, which is closed. And now we need some test points. So let's try negative 10, 3, and positive 10. So negative 10, and here's right here, because this is set equal to 0. So negative 10 and a negative 6 together are negative. A negative 10 is negative all by itself, so a negative out of a negative means that this portion here is positive. Now 3. 3 take away 6, a positive 3 and a negative 6, that's negative. A positive 3 by itself is still positive. So a negative divided by positive means this portion is negative. And 10 take away 6, that's positive. 10 by itself is positive, so positive divided by positive is positive. So our solutions will be where the positive parts are, which are here and here. So we would say that is negative infinity to 0, open parenthesis, union, closed 6 to positive infinity. Number 5. Once again, we want to set this against 0, so we're going to pull the 1 over. So we'll have x plus 4, 3x minus 1 less than or equal to 0. And with this less than or equal to 0, less than means we're looking for negative numbers. Less than 0, looking for negative solutions. With the equal sign, numerator will be closed. So let's begin to add these. And the 1, negative 1 is over 1. We're going to give them both 3x. So x plus 4 all over 3x minus 3x over 3x less than or equal to 0. Okay, so now these can be added. X and the negative 3x gives us negative 2x plus 4 all over 3x. And we'll separate the numerator and the denominator. 2x plus 4 equals 0, and 3x equals 0. And I'll solve for this side, subtracting 4. We'll get negative 2x equals negative 4. Then divide by negative 2 on both sides. And we have x equals 2. Here we're going to divide both sides by 3. And we'll end up with x equals 0. So these are our two solutions, 2 and 0. So let's put those on the number line in order, 0 and 2. 0 came from solving x, which was in the denominator, and that's always going to be open. The 2 came from solving the numerator, which follows this right here, which will be a closed dot. Now I'll use test points of negative 10, 1, and positive 10. Using negative 10, let's put it in this one right here. A negative 2 and a negative 10 is positive 20 and a positive 4 is positive. A 3 times a negative 10 is negative, so we have a positive negative, which is negative. A 1 here will be negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2, and a positive 4, that's positive. And 3 times a positive 1 is positive. So positive divided by positive will be positive. The 10, negative 2 times 10 is negative 20, together with a positive 4 will become negative. 3 times a positive 10 is positive, so negative divided by positive is negative. Since we're looking for the negative parts, this part and this part will be the solution. So we'll write our solution as all the values between negative infinity and 0 with a parenthesis, union, bracket 2 to positive infinity for that portion.